Bring in more revenue while saving money and differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack vying to win those guests by becoming more environmentally friendly. We will show you how easy it is and how cheap it can be, if not free, and share all the opportunities available. So join us each week as we take another step along the green path. That's one more step to differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack. The Green Path podcast is kindly sponsored by Sustonica, the first sustainability recognition for vacation rental homes. What if vacation rental professionals could influence millions of travellers to make their own homes more sustainable? Show the world that you have taken steps to make your vacation rental consume less and get your badge on sustonica.com. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Green Path podcast. We know the saying, home is where the heart is. Well, now we have home is where the savings are. Today's guest is a professional landlord, and through his experiences, we'll learn what we can do not only for our rentals, but of course to our own homes too. Between electricity, water and gas, there are savings that you could be missing out on right now. Today, my guest is James from Tanner Properties. Hello, James. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you very much for coming along today. James, I always like to start the episode with going back to where your sustainability journey started. And I believe it started after watching a documentary. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yes, my wife and I went to see a film about 12 years ago, a documentary called The Age of Stupid. And it was talking about how the world might be in 2050 with the impact of global warming. And that really sort of triggered our interest in this whole subject to learn more about it, really, because we were quite concerned about what might happen in the future.
Did you think you could actually make a difference after watching that and taking your steps? Did you think you could actually contribute to a difference?
Well, we did. My wife's actually a psychologist. She has been her whole life. And what she decided to do after seeing that documentary was she wanted to make a environmental education workshop for children aged 7 to 11, which is very much sort of hands-on rather than sort of teaching them. So get them to sort of do things themselves and learn from their own experiences. So that's what we did. We designed this workshop and we went into lots of schools and we sat on the floor in the assembly rooms and we educated 5,000 children about global warming.
So, wow! Can you explain it? I'm sure. I mean, it'd be a long course to explain. But can you, in a nutshell, what did you teach them?
Well, the first thing we did was we did a bit of a drama exercise where we said, can you imagine that the governments have banned the use of all private petrol cars from tonight? How are you kids going to get to school? And suddenly they all put their hands up and they give us all these ideas about cycling, walking, scooting, public transport, just to get them into a different kind of mode. And then we actually made our own cartoon about the subject. So we then played this cartoon to them. And then the main part of the whole exercise, which they loved, was we then divided them into groups of 6 or 7, and we got them to make a globe using recycled materials that they had collected themselves and brought into school. They made a globe showing the problem of global warming or the solution. And then when they'd finished, each group got up and presented to everyone else in the assembly what they'd done and what their message was. So all the children were learning by doing and learning from each other rather than learning from us.
Oh, that's fantastic. That really is hands-on. And it's nice for them to use their imagination too. That's great. Yeah.
And then we went back a year later to do a follow-up assembly. And I thought, well, a lot of the children may have forgotten what they learned. So my wife, the first thing she did was, she said, hands up if you remember us from a year ago. Have you made any green changes? And everyone in the group, there were 80 kids, put their hand up and they'd done at least one green thing that they're still doing a year later. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, that's really nice to have an effect like that.
Really nice.
And then your journey, how did it move into property then, in terms of being sustainable and property?
Well, basically, we wanted to buy a home for ourselves that was actually future-proofed for future generations. We wanted a sustainable home. And at the same time, we wanted to have a home that we could open up to the public and do loads and loads of tours and show people, anybody who's interested, show people exactly what they could do in their own home. And it's not rocket science. It really isn't. Really, it's not. It's actually not that complicated. So that's what we did. So we bought a house. I just sent you some photos before, actually. We bought a house that was from the 1890s. And it was very cold and it was very energy heavy, using a lot of heating and hot water. It's in London, UK. And we made it very, very, very energy efficient. But we restored the original features of the house from the 1890s. It's Edwardian style house, it's called. We made it very, very energy efficient. And then we opened up to the public, and we still do, 10 years later, every year, we give virtual tours to anybody that's interested to explain all the measures we did and try and encourage, because we want as many people all over the world to live sustainably and have sustainable homes wherever they are in the world.
Fantastic. We'll have to organise a Green Path episode where we have a virtual tour.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Okay, that's definitely an episode. So can you tell us okay, not everything, but maybe some of the things that people can start off doing? Or what is something that's really glaringly obvious that is really going to slash a utility bill, electricity, gas, water? Oh, not water.
For property managers and managing agents, the low-hanging fruit, where the starting point really for this is to have very good controls for heating, hot water, and electricity. So if you're in a cold climate, it'd be the heating and the hot water. If you're in a hot climate, it'd be controlling the electricity for the air conditioning. It doesn't really matter which way it is. So that's the sort of the starting point, really. And we have some very good controls for that. So we only have the heat, because London's obviously cold most of the year. So we only have the heating on and the hot water, just the bare minimum that we actually need it for a couple of hours. And then as the weather warms up, when you get into sort of spring and summer and autumn, we would have the heating on less and less. In fact, we'd have it off for 6 months of the year. So spring, summer, and autumn, because we don't really need it. So that's the sort of low-hanging fruit that any short-term landlord or managing agent anywhere in the world, could start by doing that.
Okay. Now, is this like then having heating on timers or sensors, or if you're not in a room all day, don't put the heating on in that room? I mean, how do you control the heating in a property?
Well, we did it because this was 10 years ago, so technology has advanced slightly, but at that point we did it with a timer. Yes, so we have a timer for heating, we have a timer for hot water, and we adjust it monthly. Yes. Yeah. But nowadays, you can, on top of that, you can have sensors as well. So, for example, if you're a short-term landlord or a short-term managing agent, because I've been told about this by various holiday lets owners. So if somebody rents your property and they have the heating on all day and they're not there, or it's not needed because it's quite warm, that can be there can be lots of sensors and controls to sort of stop that excess wastage of heating or air conditioning if it's in a hot climate. And there's lots of kits you can get to do that. And I think what's very important is that the short-term landlord or the managing agent gets some professional advice to make sure they get the right kit, because there's lots of kit out there, and a lot of it doesn't necessarily do what it says on the tin. So it's important to get that right, get the right kit and get it installed correctly to make sure it gives you that saving that you want. So that's sort of the low-hanging fruit. The next thing we did was we actually insulated the whole house, and we also added some additional ventilation. So, for example, in December, when it was 0 outside, we'd have the heating on for 1 hour, and it would stay hot the whole day.
Oh my God. Okay. I was going to say, where does insulation fit into this? But okay, here we go. So that was because of insulation that you only needed it on for 1 hour a day?
We have insulated the walls that face the outside. We insulated under the ground floor. We insulated the loft, and we also insulated the roof. And we put some additional ventilation as well, because when you insulate a property, what you're doing is you're putting a plastic bag around it. You're
Yeah.
retaining the heat, but at the same time, you're also retaining the moisture and the condensation from showers, from cooking, from everything. So if that moisture and condensation is not released, it sits on the walls and turns to mold, which can be quite dangerous.
Yeah.
So it's very important if a landlord is going to insulate, that they also put some good ventilation in as well. And that's absolutely crucial, that you need expert advice on what products to use for the insulation and the ventilation. That's absolutely, it's not worth doing unless the landlord gets some proper professional advice, so it's done properly.
But you know what? It sounds like it would pay off to do all of this properly if it means you only have to have your heating on for 1 hour a day. In London, of all places, 1 hour a day. That's pretty incredible.
The other big thing that's really sort of come to light now, in light of the massive increase in energy prices, is we put solar PV panels on the roof. And during the day, there's more electricity produced than we use, and it can automatically give us free hot water as well. So the return on investment of doing that is within 3 to 5 years for a landlord. Yeah, it's a no-brainer, really. It's a no-brainer with current electricity prices the way they are.
Yeah,
anywhere in the world.
Yeah. And okay, so that's electricity. How do you save money on water? I'm assuming it's this kind of shower head that you put in your properties.
Yes, water. Yes, you can change the shower head, and an average shower head allows 15 litres of water flow a minute. So you can change that from 15 to 7 or 4, depending on what you want. And there are a number of different manufacturers of shower heads. So I would recommend the landlord tries a couple of different ones to see what they like. Some shower heads, you can actually adjust the sort of, not just the water flow, but the way the water comes out. Some of them add a bit of air and some don't. So you can sort of try and see. So that's certainly something you can do. And you can also put a low flow on the taps as well, in the kitchen and, you know, in all the rooms in the property. Yes.
Low flow. So that involves a plumber.
Yes, that would involve a plumber. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I haven't heard about low flow with taps. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what about gas? What could you recommend for gas?
Well, I mean, do you mean gas for heating and hot water, or do you mean gas for cooking?
Well, whatever you would use gas for in a property, whether it's heating or cooktop or something, gas coming to the building, is there a way that you can save on gas usage?
Well, yes. I mean, if you take heating, for example, well, I mean, when you heat a property, you can heat by gas, you can heat by electricity, and you can heat by oil. So you've got different methods for that. But by insulating your property, by having some good heating controls, by having very good airtight windows, because we changed our windows as well, double glazed with gas, low E gas in the middle of them. By doing all those things, you don't need much heating to keep the property warm. So you have a much.
What's the gas in between the glass? What's that about? I've never heard that before.
Well, basically, you need to have a gap between, if you have double glazed windows, you need to have a nice gap between the two panes with a bit of gas in the middle. And that makes the glass much more energy efficient and substantially reduces heat being lost through the windows, because heat gets lost through walls, and in fact heat gets lost more through windows than it does through walls, actually.
Yeah, you can sometimes feel the breeze come in through the window, through the glass. I mean, it's as odd as that sounds. I have stood there and felt wind come through the window.
Was it coming through the window, or was it coming through the frame?
Well, it felt like it was coming through the glass, but obviously it must have been coming through the frame. You know, obviously it wasn't sealed properly or something. But, you know, to stand there and think, I've just closed this window, but I can still feel a breeze. It's like, no. I've got to talk to the landlord.
Yes, so we draft proofed as well. We put these new double glazed windows and we draft proofed as well.
Yeah. So look, the thing is, like, you're enhancing you're doing something to your property, which means you use electricity, you use less gas, and you save money. At the end of the day, you are going to come out on top, investment-wise.
You actually save about four or five different things. First of all, I've been reading a lot of research about this recently. Energy efficient properties are worth more for resale today. I've read a lot of research about that, up to 5% more or even more than that. Secondly, you are helping save the planet. Thirdly, if you're a homeowner or if you're a short-term landlord where you're paying utility bills, your bills will be substantially lower, which means that you'll make more profits. Fourthly, I was just reading yesterday that 78% of people that are going to, this year, that will rent short-term properties anywhere in the world want sustainable homes, want eco homes. So what that means is that you are going to have a substantial increase in the number of guests who want to stay in your property. You may even be able to charge a slight premium for that. Maybe you can't. So there's like it's not just improving your profits. It's all the other benefits as well. So it's a bit of a no-brainer to do at least some of these things initially, and then have a roadmap to do more of the things as time goes on. Bit of a no-brainer.
Absolutely. Can you tell us there on your website? There's the heating savings that you'd had on your home. Can you tell us what that was?
Yes, we reduced our heating bills by 2/3, from £2,500 to £900 per annum, which we were over the moon about. And on the electricity side, basically we used all the heavy amounts of electricity we used was from kitchen appliances, washing machines, spin dryers, dishwashers, and we only used those appliances during the day. So we had free electricity.
Oh, right. Hang on, you had free. Well, why did you have? Is it free electricity from your solar panels?
Yeah. We only used them during the day when it was light.
Yeah.
All those appliances. I mean, the dryer and the washing machine probably use more electricity than everything else in the whole house put together, ×3. And we only use those things when it was light. Now in the UK, you have summertime and you have winter time. So in those hours when it was light, that's when we used all our appliances, and we had free electricity. And in today's prices of electricity in the UK, the domestic price is 34p per kilowatt hour. Yeah, the return on investment of solar panels is a few years.
Incredible. Yeah, and here's everyone else doing all their washing and dishwashing and putting it on at night when it's off peak, when they can be doing it when they want to do it for free. Yeah. So what are all the benefits for the tenants and the guests and the owners of doing all of these things? The benefit is saving money. You've got no mold. You've got a warm place. Basically, it's comfortable and you save money.
And you're future-proofing the property. You are helping save the planet.
Yeah.
Global warming is continuing to increase, and we all need to do our own bit. But the beauty is that the homeowner or the short-term landlord or the managing agent can save money and help save the planet and give the guests the experience they want and have an increased value in their property. So they're going to make money and help to save the planet by saving money. So it's like a win-win-win-win. I mean, why would they not do it? All over the world, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Why would you not do it? With all those incredible benefits. I would encourage everyone to do it everywhere and seek good professional advice to make sure you do it properly. Yeah.
I think I'm going to label this episode the motivation episode. It's a no-brainer, kids. Let's listen and do it, and win-win-win.
Yeah, why not? Just do it.
Yes, just do it. Of course, the best 3 words in the English language in a sentence. Yeah. I just wanted to touch on. Okay, so you did this great thing with the kids, teaching the kids, and you now have a consultancy or a service where you can help owners to fix their properties up and to make it more efficient. So can you tell us what sort of things that you offer people? What sort of stuff?
So I mean, basically, we look at the whole property. We can do it virtually, so the property could be anywhere. Always, sometimes if it's in Southeast England, we can go and visit, but mainly we do it virtually. And we would look at the entire property, everything that's generating heat that's using gas or electricity. And we would produce a very detailed 10 to 15 page report going through every single item that's using heat or hot water or electricity, and what the landlord can do or the homeowner can do to reduce that. We also let them know roughly how much they could reduce their consumption by for each item, and which are the top 10 items that can have the greatest impact, and help them put a roadmap together of, okay, this is the first step, second step, so they can do it when they've got the time, when they've got the budget, when the property's empty, whenever they want to do it, basically. Yes.
You're talking appliances. What about if they want to go the whole hog and do, insulation too? Would you offer guidance for insulation and the double glazing and things like that?
Absolutely. Yes, the whole thing. We have a whole range of technical experts that we work with that could help with all those different areas. Absolutely.
Great. A great resource. Yes, some hand-holding there that some people need. That's good. Just out of interest, I used to live in England, and even in France, I see the same sort of scale. What's the EPC? What does that stand for? What is that?
Basically, that is it's a measure that's been set up quite a long time ago about the energy performance of there's actually two. There's actually a residential energy performance, and there's a non-domestic energy performance. And every building is given a energy performance rating from G, which is the worst, to A, which is the best.
And who scales it? Who measures it and gives you that rating? How does that happen?
Basically, there's a lot of the type of job. The job of the person that would do that is called a domestic energy assessor, and there's lots of them all over the UK. So they'd come to your property and they'd give you an EPC rating. So the property we bought was F when we bought it, and after we finished all our works, it's almost A.
Oh, wow. Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. And so this is about property, and we know that on appliances there's usually an efficiency scale rating, whatever. So we all want to go the most efficient appliance as well. Yeah. Right. Okay. And is there anything else that you could share with us that we haven't touched on yet about what you're offering or what else people can do to their homes?
Well, I think from the short-term landlord's perspective, or the managing agents for the short-term landlords, I think that's the sector that mainly you're in.
Yeah.
I think also it would be worth just thinking a little bit about what things could you do for the guests to make their experience more sustainable without costing anybody any money. So things like having some bikes available for them, sharing where there's some nice bike routes locally to where your property is off-road. All that information is available online anywhere in the world. And having sort of recycling facilities, buying products for the property that are green products, recommending locally produced whatever foods or restaurants that make locally produced things, just sort of encourage some sort of local thing and some green measures. And again, I know from this research I've read that's exactly what 78% of your guests want today, anywhere in the world. They want those green things. They want those green things.
And it's such a huge audience that I don't know why people are not jumping on the bandwagon and making their properties more sustainable, because that is a very large percentage of guests that are looking for these kinds of properties. And I think once you've got the badge or the certification or something, you will reap all the benefits, besides reaping the benefits from the savings and things like that as well.
I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, and particularly all the things that cost nothing, so there's no barrier to doing it. I think those things, that's where the holiday lets and the short-term landlords and the managing agents for the short-term landlords should start. Things that cost nothing, and get those in first, and then do all the other things for the guests as well. I think that would be a great starting point in any short-term let landlord anywhere in the world to do those things today. I mean, why not? They've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, plus more guests and more money and more revenue. It's a win-win-win. It's a win-win-win.
Yep, the win-win-win episode. Look, you know what? It's just all about taking that first step. You know, we've been talking about the first steps in the last sort of nearly a year of this episode of this podcast. So yes, there are little steps you can take, and I think it's a no-brainer. Everyone should be doing it. Yes. James, we're going to wrap up now. Anything else to finish up with, or that was like the win-win-win, I think might be the nice way to end it.
Win-win-win.
Yeah, very good. James, it's been a pleasure having a chat with you and hearing about The Age of Stupid. I think I'll pop a link. I'll pop that trailer in the link below. I'll put links in the description below. And if you have any questions for James, pop them in the comments below. James, it has been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time chatting with us today.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye. Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode and were at least a little bit inspired. If you'd like to catch up on the other episodes that you've missed, just head to thegreenpathpodcast.com. See you next time.